Hello Scorpio, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements looking at your connection to the person that you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. We'll be pulling for all three sides of the connection, so we've got your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it, the concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we'll be looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. The middle section will be looking at what is the deeper purpose of the connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Friendly reminder that these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and leave what does not. On that note, the whole reading can be reversed, especially if you're a cross-watcher. Just know that's totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point is to take what helps and leave what doesn't. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. All right, let's jump on in, Scorpio. This is for Scorpio's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. And needing to learn the most from right now. All right, we're going to start with overall energy, and then we'll dive into tarot as we continue the reading. So first off, we've got Scorpio's overall energy toward the person they are dealing with. You have detachment, healing, and solitude. Okay. And then the bottom of the deck, you have mirroring here. So I feel as if this person, whoever this is talking about, as if they really sparked some inner healing for you. And I feel like this connection seems to have played a really important role in your life in a lot of different ways, maybe even has affected some things outside of the connection as well. I feel like since this connection has happened, there is very much this energy of solitude. You know what else is interesting? I just noticed this. You have this healing and detachment card. You have 43 and 34, which are obviously mirrored numbers. So I feel like the mirroring in this connection is a lot of what really led you to this deep healing. So since this has happened, I feel like you've been doing a lot of self-reflection. With this detachment key, I feel like there is a goal here of almost getting to a place of indifference. Maybe some of you have, maybe some of you haven't. But I do very much feel like, in any healthy connection, when there is kind of separation or when something happens, there has to be a certain level of detachment to the outcome, because the more attached we are to a certain outcome or to things working out in a certain way, the more that we might do things that don't align with us as much, which can keep us stuck in unhealthy or kind of karmic driven cycles. So I do feel like in this connection in particular, there's been some cycle breaking that has been necessary, and I feel like it will ultimately lead to better things in the end. It's obviously not, healing isn't fun. It's always worth it in the end, but it's certainly not always a good time. Okay, this person's energy toward Scorpio. Remember, this is just overall energy, so we'll kind of break down more of the dynamic when we dive into tarot. Redacted here. So this redacted card to me means that they aren't being completely upfront with like how they feel or what they what they think, or I'll show you the card in just a second. And I feel like and then there's forgiveness and connection. So I feel like this person does feel a connection to you. I definitely think that this is a connection and separation, but here's this redacted card, because this card to me really makes it feel like this person has a tendency to really curate a certain perception of themselves for their connections, meaning that they only really let you see what they want you to see. So holding back how they really feel, or like I said, what they're really thinking or what they really want, which can make things really confusing for the people that are dealing with them, because I mean, as humans, the first way that we tend to view any situation is through the lens of our insecurity and our fear and our doubt. So if somebody isn't being honest with us about how they feel, then we're going to read into their actions. And a lot of times we will project our insecurities on them and assume the worst. So when someone behaves a certain way or does things or doesn't do something, we have a tendency to take it really personally and feel like we have a tendency to take it really personally. And feel as if it has something to do with us, as if it has something to do with our own value or our own worth. Now, this forgiveness card, I feel like, is a reflection of maybe even like I feel like they desire your forgiveness in some way. Because there might be regret here. There might be regret here. And I think that they're not saying that though with the redacted. That's what it is. It's like there's regret here. They desire your forgiveness. You maybe have absolutely no idea about this because I feel like they're not saying that. But I do feel like this person does or did very much value their connection to you. Okay. And I feel like you're just maybe trying to move forward from this in some way. Okay, so what's the truth of this connection between Scorpio and this person? Yeah, they desire your forgiveness. I definitely feel like there's regret. Maybe we'll see. I mean, typically regret kind of comes out often in the form of the Five of Cups for me, so maybe we'll see that in their energy. Maybe we won't, but I do kind of already feel it. Okay, truth of the connection between Scorpio and this person. I don't know what went down here. Passion, grief, and sadness. That also kind of gives Five of Cups energy. Breakups and makeups. So there might have been or has been kind of a cycle with this person where they're like maybe in and out of your life, or something happens, there's separation, but then kind of this passion drives you guys back together. So I do feel like there are mutual feelings here. I do feel like both people do care about the other. This grief and sadness feels mutual, and I feel like it's something that you have, like I kind of started the reading with, focused on maybe healing from, and trying to get to maybe a place where this doesn't affect you as much, because I do feel like this has affected you in some pretty deep ways, because I said and still kind of feel like this maybe has even affected other aspects of your life as well, like not just in terms of the connection, which is natural and normal. Like when we deal with connections that hurt us, like it's naturally just gonna spill into other areas of our life. And while it's hard because then we're kind of left to pick up the pieces of that. And then when we're dealing with someone who then the guilt starts to creep in, the regret starts to creep in, they want us to be the person that tells them like, oh, it's okay, like it's fine, when in reality you're like, it's not fine. Like I've been healing, I've been doing a lot of things to try to move forward from this, and like maybe I forgive you, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to just like tolerate that behavior, right? So I feel like there is this need to definitely make sure that you are keeping your, I don't want to say keeping your guard up, because I feel like that can be taken the wrong way, but just making sure that other people's guilt for the way that they treated you, like isn't your responsibility, right? And really, honestly, the only real apology is change behavior, which has to start with a level of accountability. And maybe that's where this person is at, is they're getting to a place of being able to take accountability. They want this forgiveness. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot going on here. I'm gonna just keep going. We're just gonna see what comes through. Okay, overall theme. This is the last oracle card I'll pull before diving deeper into this story. There's obviously, like I said, A lot of passion in this connection, but I feel like it's like there's a lot of good, but there's a lot of bad too. Like these cards feel very like opposite of each other. It's like there's a lot of passion, there are a lot of good memories, there's a lot of like strong feelings there, but there's also a lot of pain. There's a lot that exists that isn't so good. It's like I can't just turn a blind eye to that. Okay, overall theme of this reading for Scorpio. Oh, keep an open mind. Your soulmate may differ from your usual type and expectations. Maybe this person was a reflection of kind of like your type or like a dynamic that you're used to. Is there anything else here? Oh, that's way too many. You have passion again. Romantic feelings. You have let your friends help you. Interesting. Okay. I feel like this is obvious. There's obviously feelings here. There's obviously passion here. This is the romantic feelings in the passion card. But this keep an open mind with your let your friends help you card. Maybe you were dealing with someone that like your friends didn't really like never really liked or like never really approved of. But maybe you had the rose-colored glasses on, or maybe even you were dealing with people that could like see this person for who they were, but like you didn't want to admit it. I don't know. Overall, I feel like this is about protecting your healing. I think is going to be important. What reading did I do this week? I don't remember. I did another sign that kind of reminds me of this type of energy. But keeping an open mind, I think, is going to be important for you as you move forward. I mean, keeping an open mind is important all the time. And I will say, like, forgiveness of other people does not mean continuing to tolerate their behavior, right? Like, and also forgiving somebody else doesn't mean that you need to let them back in your life either. I think that I've really learned that forgiving another person is more of an act of self-love than it is an act of love for another, because it allows us to free ourselves from the wounding that person has caused us. I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot. So let's dive in even deeper to this story. Let's see what we've got going on here, Scorpio. This is for your side of this connection. You have detachment with healing. This is Scorpio's side of the connection, the person they are dealing with, needing to learn the most from right now. The Hierophant. Maybe even this connection could have even led to like an awakening of sorts, like a spiritual awakening or an awakening to maybe deeper truths or patterns within you. If it hasn't happened yet, I feel like it's going to. It definitely feels like you and this person met for a very spiritual reason. Like this person definitely is part of your path and your journey, like your healing journey, your growth journey. King of Wands in reverse. You could be dealing with a fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, but you definitely don't have to be. I also feel like this is also representing something going on in your energy too. I want more on this. Oh, okay. The Devil. What about the... I want to clarify. So 6 of Pentacles in reverse with the King of Wands in reverse. I'm going to clarify this. King of Wands in reverse, and then, like I said, you have the Devil here. So I feel like there were... this connection, when it first started, it feels like it was really intense. And like I said, there was a lot of passion, there was a lot of feelings there, and maybe it even kind of went really 0 to 100. Like, you guys met, and then it was like, just from there, like, a lot of intensity in the connection. And like I said, there is a lot of good in this connection for sure. But I also feel like there ended up being a lot of not so good that maybe came out as time went by. And I feel like you then maybe stayed in the connection or allowed certain things to happen because you kept wanting to get back to how things were in the beginning. But it feels like with this King of Wands in reverse, I don't know if it was like the passion or the intensity or the good. It's like the good started getting smaller, the not so good started becoming more and more prevalent in the connection until eventually something happened that led to a separation. Now, this might actually be a reoccurring theme in this connection, or maybe in connections of this type for you, is that things feel really good in the beginning, and then once those good feelings wear off, there is like chaos and arguments that then start to happen in the connection, and then there's a separation, and then that passion draws you back together. Because when a connection is really passionate and there are a lot of feelings there, it can kind of be a roller coaster, especially if a lot of those feelings aren't being checked with like self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Then what can really happen is the feelings completely take over, and if you're acting from a place of feeling, then things can get kind of unhealthy. And I feel like in this connection, that's kind of what happened. It's like things started off really good, but then kind of got a little bit toxic as time went on. And I'm not saying like it was because of you. I just feel like naturally that's how things started to unfold in this connection. Now, with the Six of Pentacles in reverse, I feel like there was a lot that you were lacking in this connection as time went on. You have this Three of Wands with the Two of Cups in reverse too, which to me feels like there was this energy of almost waiting for this connection to get to a certain point where things eventually felt good again, especially like I said, if they were really good in the beginning. But then instead, I feel like what happened was the opposite. Things maybe even got worse until there was separation, and that separation, or the pain caused by whatever led to that separation, or the separation itself, ultimately sparked an awakening within you, a deeper, because again, I feel like this connection really pushed you into a deep healing phase, maybe a deep phase of self-reflection, a phase of facing some things, within. And I think that can happen regardless of the nature of the connection itself, but sometimes connections can have a bigger effect on us than others, especially if there are a lot of mirrors present. I mean, all of our connections can be ultimately a mirror of something going on within us, but some connections just really happen to poke at our triggers and our deeper wounds that then start to be brought to the surface, which makes it all the more painful and difficult to deal with. So I don't know. I feel like this was really complicated because at one point, like I said, things were really good. It was exciting. It was passion driven. And then it got really unhealthy over time. I mean, I see that with the Devil. And I do think that one of the things that because I had only, before I met my husband, I only ever had unhealthy relationships. It was all I ever knew. I mean, I watched my parents have unhealthy relationships for their whole life. I only ever had healthy relationships. And until I really started to heal, I really thought that that's all there ever were unhealthy relationships. And I do think that when we're dealing with people who we tend to get into toxic patterns with, the purpose of those kinds of connections isn't to keep us from the love that we deserve, but to help us kind of address our own unhealthy patterns and behaviors so that we can step out of them, because most of our relationship choices before we heal are wound driven, and we tend to actually attract connections that reflect back to us what needs to be healed. And when we're not aware of this, or when we haven't done a certain level of healing, what happens in those connections is we actually end up deepening those wounds, because we believe that the connections that we experience as a reflection of those wounds are just proving those wounds correct. So for instance, if you have beliefs that you are unlovable and you're not good enough, and that all relationships are unhealthy starting in childhood, because of the way that you've learned to experience love, you might actually seek those out in your adult relationships without even realizing it. And I did that for a really long time, and I didn't realize it until like I said, I met my husband, and luckily I had done enough healing to this point to understand how to have and sustain a healthy relationship, because I used to be a pretty toxic person. I'm not going to lie to you. All right, this person's energy towards Scorpio. But that's also why I feel I can understand relationship dynamics well is because I've lived them. I've lived on both sides of them too. I've been the toxic one in the relationship. I've been the one dealing with someone who is toxic. I've been through it all. All right, this person's energy towards Scorpio. Forgiveness with redacted. Because, again, I do feel like this person desires your forgiveness. But it's so interesting because I feel like you've kind of just been focusing on you. High Priestess in reverse. I really wanted that to be upright for you. I was like, oh, this person's connecting deeper with their higher self. It actually feels like they're pretty disconnected from their higher self here. The Hierophant. Ooh, okay. So this connection has a spiritual purpose for both of you. It could have, the nature of it could have been spiritual too. Like maybe you were connected to them on a very spiritual level, but like the 3D version of them like never seemed to really reach that level of the connection, which made it hard because it's like I connect with you on a deeper level, but then who you are on the outside like is not a match to that deeper connection. Because again, if there's this redacted card, then they're not showing up 100% authentic. They're not being totally upfront honest with you about what they think and how they feel in this. And this High Priestess in reverse even makes, I mean, especially seeing the High Priestess and the Hierophant side by side too. We have 10 of Wands, 3 of Wands, 6 of Wands in reverse. Okay. There's a lot of mirroring here. I mean, we saw the Hierophant and we saw the 3 of Wands in your energy here. With this 10 of Wands, I feel like this person, they have a lot of baggage. Now, we're all adults here. We've all got baggage. We've all got stuff that we've been through, that we have experienced. The problem is that in healthy relationships, both individuals have really dealt with their stuff. They've dealt with their baggage. They've dealt with their wounding. They've dealt with their trauma. And it's not that they're free from it because, we don't ever really like become free from our trauma, but we learn to integrate it into our experience so that it doesn't make decisions for us, which I guess in a sense allows us to become free from it. But if you're dealing with someone who hasn't dealt with their stuff, then that stuff is going to affect the connection, even whether or not they want it to. Now, in this connection in particular, I do feel like there were mutual feelings here, absolutely. But I almost feel as if the feelings were so intense and the connection was so deep on like this underlying level that things kind of blew up. It's almost like I can't think of like a cosmic explosion kind of way. It's like so much passion, so much intensity, so much desire, and then it's just like, but there were all of these things that were brought to the surface because of that intensity, maybe even really quickly, that caused it to just like kind of explode. And I feel like ever since then, both of you have been trying to kind of make sense of what really happened. I don't feel like the pain that was experienced in this connection, I don't feel like either person really meant to hurt the other. And I feel this in their energy too, but I do feel like this person hasn't dealt with a lot of their past stuff, or hadn't dealt with a lot of their past stuff by the time that this connection came together, that it's almost like that really drove a wedge between like that deeper connection that you had with them and what they were capable of showing up as. Now, I will say, when we are, attracting people into our life that struggle to really show up as the version of themselves that we need, there's something that is trying to teach us. And I will say a lot of times these more spiritual driven connections, often kind of labeled as like twin flame or soulmate connections, because there is that spiritual recognition, that drive toward each other becomes so strong that the ego sometimes doesn't know what to do with it. And so sometimes it can come in and start to kind of do things that don't really align with the desire that really does lie there underneath. And I feel like same with this person. with the Three of Wands, because we saw the Three of Wands with you too, and I feel like this pushed both of you really far out of your comfort zone. And it was like, whoa, like I've never experienced anything like this is really intense. I don't know what to make of this. And it's almost like with this person, especially seeing the Six of Wands in reverse here, it feels like there was this energy of like, this feels too good to be true. Like, I don't see this lasting, or I don't see how this could ever make it to, the place that we both desire, even though the potential was there. And so there might have been some sabotage here. It's almost like this person kind of let their stuff get in the way of the connection. And I think I feel like there is regret there. We didn't see the Five of Cups, but I do feel like there is regret there. But the question is there changed behavior? Because if someone doesn't deal with the stuff that caused the behavior in the first place, right? Even if there's distance and they're able to recognize that their decisions were wrong or harmful or didn't really align with what they desired, but they still hadn't dealt with the underlying cause, then it's not going to, the same behavior would continue. It's kind of like putting a Band-Aid over a bullet hole. Like, that's not going to heal anything. That's not going to make the wound go away, you know, especially if the bullet's still in there. Like, it's gonna cause problems regardless. And I feel like this person needs to kind of deal with the deeper wounding that caused certain decisions in this connection that ended up creating an unhealthy dynamic. Now, the same can be said for you too, Scorpio. I think that, you know, I've certainly learned that when I was in a place of having toxic or unhealthy behaviors in relationships myself, I would attract people that were kind of also a little bit unhealthy. And I learned that it wasn't that I'm blaming you. I'm not trying to blame you for what happened in this connection, but you know, we can point out how other people need to heal and change and grow and be better all day long, but until we start to look within and ask ourselves what we need to do to change so that we no longer show up with unhealthy patterns and behaviors. Because if we're attracting unhealthy patterns in our relationships, there's an unhealthy pattern going on within us. And I feel like that's why the nature of this connection and the purpose of it was for your spiritual growth, was because there's something within you that this connection is really trying to bring to the surface, so that you can, you know, heal, grow, evolve in some way, which ultimately, as you grow, as you heal, as you learn to love yourself more, like, you're naturally going to attract love into your life that aligns with that higher level of love that you've learned to have for yourself. And a lot of times these connections that are painful and create kind of the negative experience for us, they do ultimately lead us to that deeper healing, which leads us to the connections that we are looking for in the first place, whether it's with that person that created or brought those things to the surface or not. In between the connection, you have grief and sadness with passion. I'm going to hop on over to the extended. We're going to look at the deeper purpose of the connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Thank you so much, Scorpio, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. All right. Bye, Scorpio.